How would you like to make your first million? Today we have Salvatore Tirabassi with us, and he at CFO Pro Analytics is a team of fractional CFO experts delivering flexible, high impact financial solutions um, designed to the unique business needs. The fractional CFO means CFO level expertise and financial leadership to business across various industries. So, Salvatore, tell us, what are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Okay, yeah. Great question. Thank you for having me. So I'm going to do these in no particular order. I think that step one is you need to test and fail intelligently. And that's especially when exploring products. But in this today, you need to get on the AI wave with vibe coding or whatever it takes. And you don't want to fail serially. You want to be able to fail or test things out kind of in parallel without overdoing it. So it's a bit of a balancing act. But the AI technologies and the automation technologies that are available give you a lot of speed. And that means that you shouldn't try one thing. You maybe might have two or three similar things that you want to test out. Try to test them out in parallel because that's going to give you more opportunity to make the first year very impactful, right? Because you only have 365 days to get to a million, right? So, number two is you need to have good testing. What do I mean by that? Everybody thinks like, oh, I'm going to get something out there and I'm going to test to see if it's quality controlled, if it works. You want to do user-based testing and do that frequently and often. And you need to build it into your entire process because you may have a few different products that you're testing and that you're driving in parallel. But if the testing is not equal across all of them, or you decide to test one thing in one and not in the other, you're going to end up with disparate information about which one might actually be better. And you can't do that. That's another place where, maybe spending a little time building some testing tools with vibe coding might actually be helpful, or measurement tools. Number three is your customer acquisition cost. So I'm assuming that you have enough money to start out with to get through to the end of the year. The biggest risk factor, it used to be, spending money on developers and customer acquisition costs. The first one is not as risky now because of all of the innovations. The second one is always very risky, where you can dump, if you think you hit a groove or you're in a groove and you actually make a mistake and you end up burning a lot of precious capital on customer acquisition to start getting them into the funnel. So that's a whole other test and learn procedure. And having multiple channels that you're testing at one time is also very important. So it's kind of like you're testing multiple products and you're pushing them into multiple channels. You can't overdo it because you can't do everything, but you need to be very smart and have enough variables that you can maneuver your way through. The fourth one is you need to leverage your personal time if you're leading the effort. You need to find the right talent that is at the right cost that gives you the ability to leverage your time better so that you could be paying attention to the most important things that are essential for success and getting to a million at the end of the year. Some people can do it themselves with some freelancers. Some people, they're wired where they need more full-time people working with them. They like to have interpersonal interaction as they're building things. there's no right answer to this. The only thing you need to make sure is that whatever investment you make in other talent around you, they're giving you the freedom to do the most important things that you need to do in order to be successful. And the last thing is, don't get to the end of your first year having made your first million without thinking about upsell, retention, or return purchases. If you're not in a recurring revenue business, you want to make sure that you have that strategy in place. It may not be perfect, but that you understand how you're going to handle it by the end of the first year. Because once you start loading the system with customers, you got to hold on to them, because those are your cheapest customer acquisition cost once you've got them, right? You don't want to lose them, or you want to sell them more. And you need to make that work for you. So those are the 5 things that you need to do. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Why you decided to become an entrepreneur?
I've been in the entrepreneurship game for a long time. I started my career as a venture capitalist and growth equity investor. So I've been around entrepreneurs for a long time. I then worked inside of entrepreneurial businesses. And I just had a lot of know-how about how to make businesses successful, where my point of view as the strategic finance person is a very critical part of the senior leadership team. And my idea was that I could package that knowledge and that capability into a service and be able to provide it to people who don't really have access to it or can't afford to hire a full-time team. So it was a combination of taking everything that I know and being able to package it correctly, and then putting myself in the hot seat to get to my first million in a year, which I did, by the way. I did more than that, but
In 1 year, that's impressive. So, Salvatore, now let's talk about we have the 500 millionaires that we view in this podcast. 1 of 5 are millionaires and have done exits. So, why do you think that tech is a good vehicle to build wealth, or it's not that easy as people think? Can you tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly of tech businesses?
yes. So the real bad part about tech businesses is that, especially today, um, it's very easy to create lookalike products. Historically, it's always been the case that a new technology can be created to take over the old technology. But now the pace is so rapid that it makes it riskier to take a lot of time and effort figuring out the technology. And you really need to figure out how to get the customer acquisition to work properly. Previously, you had, I think, more time to figure that out. But now things just go much, much faster. One of the entrepreneurs that I invested in a number of years ago came out of retirement because he was bored, and he built a SaaS application in 2 days by himself, just using Cursor, the vibe coding platform. He's not a developer by training, I can tell you that. So, and that just goes to show you how quickly things can be developed and evolve. And his big question for me was, besides showing me the product and asking me what I thought about it, his big question to me was, how do you think I could protect and go to market quickly here? And I really told him that the biggest protective barrier for him is to start to get adoption and to be able to nurture those clients and retain them. As I said earlier, in the 5 key things to get to $1 million, you want to pay attention to the retention and upsell. That is a key part of being successful in a tech world where development is now faster and easier than it ever was before.
With you, Salvatore, I think that before we were working with the technology and even people spend money and time in patents to try to get the patent and to get that uniqueness. And I agree with you somehow that best protection that a tech business can have is go to market fast and acquire as most client possible. We see in the tech space that, I mean, AI can help you to create somehow an MVP, a minimum viable product, for you to test out. And when you have some sales, you can actually go back and develop that technology knowing that you have. My question to you is how we close the gap between the tech founders and the funding, because we had the tech founders that they develop the product, they love the product, but when they're looking to speak with you as an investor, they're telling you, my product is amazing, I have a great product, my product is going to change the world. Then you are on the other side, well, I'm going to sell it. What will be the return on investment? And it's like the founders are speaking completely different language than the investors. And I think that's why your product is amazing to close the gap. So what is your message for tech entrepreneurs out there that they are frustrated because they develop a product and they always come to me, Harry, I'm looking for funding. I'm looking for funding. Nobody gives me any money. They want too many things. They want traction. They want brand. They want some sales. They want too many things. So how can we close this gap?
That's an age-old question. There's nothing new about that. I think if I want to be cynical about it, if you're talking about seed stage tech investors, I think that relationships really matter. Visibility within a community matters. And those are the less cynical parts of it. That really kind of gives you the exposure and the contacts and the relationships where people have come into contact with you before and they can take you really seriously. I think the cynical part of it is on the investor side, there needs to be a connective spark that is, some investors have to be followers of investment trends, and you're rarely going to find the ones who are creating the investment trend and want to be the first one to do it. And when you are in a situation where you're raising capital and you're hearing a lot of milestones and things that they're looking for, those are sometimes those you just have to know that those are just nice ways of telling you no, and keeping, what's that?
So that they're in love with the product, that they come to you and telling, look, my technology is amazing. My product is amazing. We're going to change the world with my product. My product is amazing. What is your message for those tech entrepreneurs that come to you
That's what,
and tell you, I have a great
yeah,
product. My product is going to change the world. If
yeah,
you invest in this, this is $1 billion company because my product is amazing.
right. How many do you think everybody that walks into the door of that VC is saying the same thing? That's not a unique story.
So help
So
them,
I think
Salvatore. Help them. When they come to see you, how they should come prepared, why they should have, why they either if they want to partner with your
I
service.
mean the base level things are you need to be professional, you need to have high quality materials, you need to have stress tested your whole story. You can't be overly ambitious or eager about the situation. You need to have some level of realism, but very confident. And how do you get that? You get that by really questioning a lot of the angles of your business, and having, reasonable answers for people about, why these things are important. I think it's also helpful if you have a specific story to tell that on a personal or professional level can resonate better with the audience. So understand who your audience is going to be, what kinds of deals have they done, what kinds of deals have they turned down, and make sure that you understand and if you can, what kinds of deals have they turned down that they regretted. right? That's also very important. If you can find it out and then be able to position yourself in a way that, fits into kind of the audience's perception so that they're at least more receptive to listening to what you have to say. Those are all things you can control and you can research ahead of time and be prepared for. Don't go in and wing it. I could tell you that. But there's no golden ticket, right? It's a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings. It's a very, very difficult sale. You are selling, and you need to be as prepared as you can be to be able to execute in that specific instance. And as I said earlier, relationships and referrals into well-placed people really do help.
So, like you said, they are selling. And one of the things that you reflect is you need to have a very good professional material, meaning you need to have more than a product, you need to have a brand or brand that investor can see that you can develop. It's some knowledge, right? That
Maybe I don't think the brand and the presentation is as important as the clarity and the authority of the message.
Mhm. Very good. The clarity and the authority of the message that have to be back with, like you described, stress testing. So it has to be just not gonna say my product is good. That doesn't mean anything. But if other people are saying that your product is good, if other people have my product, if other people say things, then better, right?
Yeah. No one's walking in there saying their product's not good, right? No one's walking in there saying my product isn't the best.
So this is one. Okay. Now let's talk about.
I would say one other thing too, just to add to that is, there's a lot of success that can be had without venture capital, right?
Let's go there a little bit further because some people are saying that the VC model is old and obsolete for the times that we are living. The people say that I am one of them that say that with the right VC, with the right alliance, you can get a lot of done because it's all about penetrating the market. And if you have someone that brings the money, but also bring expertise and have and can help founder to find new distribution channels for the product, I think that would be very helpful. So what do you think about the VC model, the old VC model? It needs to be upgraded if it still works in the form that had been working before?
Well,
Point of view.
let's think about that for a second. So first of all, the VC model is a business just like any other business, and it needs to change with the times. And I was a venture capitalist during the internet bubble, okay, and then was involved in it, for the last, 27 years. I have a lot of relationships in the market, and that market has evolved dramatically to be more aligned with the needs of the market for them to be successful. What really hasn't changed is the success ratio. So, if you just take sort of like an average VC fund, by the time they're in their fifth year, most of them are really only playing for one or two massive successes. And they may have, 15 to 20 other things in the portfolio that they really don't want to spend time on. And they need to do is nurture the two winners and then move on to their next fund. That part has not changed. So their approach to the market has become more founder friendly. Seed market developed aggressively for a period of time. It's now, I think, pulled back a bit in terms of the qualifications that they're looking for. Part of that is related to having gone too far in one direction, being aggressive. The other part of it is that a lot of money got invested into venture capital, and we're in this really like slow exit, market where the VCs can't get out as quickly as they want to. There's a lot of extensions that VCs are adding to their funds in terms of what are called continuation funds. And so they have to adapt to that as well. And I think it's always changed. And I don't think that the model's dead, I think, or that it doesn't apply. It's never really been, an antiquated model. It's a model that has like responded quickly, changes, and it's going to do that again. So I think that, what they're going to be figuring out, they've been figuring out probably for the last 24 months. And now they're going to figure out, probably for the next 24 months is, they all knew about LLMs, 5 years ago. People who are really in the know, I'm talking about the top tier VCs, they made all their bets a long time ago in that area, their big bets. But now it's about applying the LLMs in business models. And now the VCs have to make decisions about how does all of this AI tech factor into the next series of investments that come after that. And I think that's going to affect, the amount of traction they're looking for. They're probably going to look for more traction. They're going to want to understand why the product has some barriers to entry around it. They're going to pay more attention to that. They're probably going to be more interested in the speed of your development cycles. They're going to want to really know and invest in things where they feel like this is going to keep up and not become obsolete, 12 months after they invest. That's the thing that if I were still in their shoes, I'd be thinking about those things.
So, sorry, before we had the .com, okay, which was something amazing when we had the websites and the use of the internet. But then it came the social media, then it came blockchain, then it came NFT, it came every new piece of technology that had been implemented. Is like we have a new flavor of the day that we can show to a VC, and the VC can be attracted to it because it's revolutionary. Do you think that AI now, for example, I hear some people saying, well, if your startup doesn't have AI, don't even mention it. Don't even bring it to investors. It's not going to work. Do you think that AI is the new flavor of the day when it comes to tech?
No.
Or is a real revolution, and VCs be looking more at this more?
I mean, I don't think there's a question that it's a revolution. This is very different than anything that's come before. And what's very interesting about it too is that the infrastructure that's required to make AI models and technology usable, well understood. And if it's well understood, it means that there's also a lot of capability to improve the infrastructure. So that's different than when the dot-com bubble happened, where the infrastructure it was all relatively new infrastructure. And so there was a lot of risky capital going into the infrastructure as well as to the applications. AI is showing up in a world where the infrastructure is very solidly built out. There's not enough of it, but they know what they would do to build more of it. And so therefore, the risk of the applications and the innovation of the application are no longer dependent on good infrastructure. There'll be ups and downs because the infrastructure will have to keep pace, but it's sitting on a very strong foundation to be a revolution. There's no doubt about it. Anybody who tells you otherwise is, not using AI probably. I think the bigger question about AI is safety and policy, the value of humans in the process. What does it do to jobs? I think these are things that are unrelated to, they're related to the whole economy of innovation, but some thoughtful and constructive people need to be involved in making AI work for us as opposed to the other way around.
So regarding the family offices, we see now more and more family offices leaning into tech businesses, but they come with a different approach because they're coming from the traditional business. So they're looking more at revenue, traction, EBITDA, profits, scalability. Do you think the penetration of family offices as an alternative funding for the founders, the whole environment? For example, as a CFO, would you consider to bring a family office on board and the companies that you're working on?
Yeah, family office capital is, a lot like other capital in many ways, particularly if they're large family offices. They're going to have, a fair amount of sophistication. Yeah, they're probably more patient than other capital that's out there. Yeah, there's great investors, and they're certainly, if I had companies that were raising capital and a family office was interested, we would take it very seriously and hope that they could be part of the investment.
Why do you think that when it was the .com, they won't even touch it? And now, the more and more tech evolve, we see more and more and more family offices trying to get involved in tech. For example, I'm a speaker in a family office event here in Miami. It's going to be on the 24th and 25th of March, basically this week. And we are seeing is that a lot of family offices over there in that event, a lot of tech entrepreneurs reach their ideas, the companies, they're looking for funding, and they are leaning more to tech because before they were more like traditional business, mainly property and developments and things like that, assets that they were more tangible, for say something. And now they're getting more close and close and close to tech than before. Any reason for that?
Well, as I was saying earlier with the VC market, I mean, these capital sources, they evolve over time. So the family offices, first of all, there's a lot more of them, right? Since 2000 until now, the amount of entrepreneurial wealth creation that's generated the opportunity for family offices to expand and become part of the capital markets is tremendous. I mean, I don't know what it is in numbers, but just as an example, in the .com bubble burst, there's only one company that was in the top 30 companies that's still in the top 30 today. Do you know which one it is? You want to take a guess? It's pretty easy.
No.
It's Microsoft. Microsoft is the only company that was in the top 30 or 50 of the S&P 500 and is still in the top 50 today.
Wow.
But that gives you an idea of how technology has completely transformed the capital markets for investment, right? If you look at the S&P 500 now, how many tech companies can you find in there, right? So it's the family offices that exist today are also much more made their money in tech, but are also much more tech savvy, right? That's not an accident, right?
And also, Salvatore, I think also the element is the transfer of wealth because it comes from the grandfather, then it comes from the dad, then now they transfer it to the younger generation, and this generation they grow up in tech. And what do you think? Do you think that also helps?
I think that's true also, but I think if you look at family offices and where they came from, it's going to be over the last 20, 25 years, there's going to be a lot that come from traditional businesses that are brand new. I don't really know because I haven't looked at the data, but if I was just going to make a guess, I would say that most of them are probably coming from tech, people who made their money in tech. So, and yes, the owner of the older family offices, sure, the management is getting younger, they're more tech savvy, but that's also just part of the natural trajectory of the economy.
Yeah, makes sense. So, Salvador, tell us about your company. Any particular industry that's your favorite? You guys are agnostic.
We're agnostic.
Who do you like to work with? So maybe our listeners look, this podcast is for entrepreneurs, people that want to grow the business, start a
Yeah,
business. And we have a large tech community listen because, like I said, the statistic, we have already 100 millionaires interviewing this podcast that have exit successfully. So a lot of people in the tech space listen the podcast. So tell us a little bit about your company
sure.
and what is your what is the type of entrepreneurs or company that you like to work with?
Sure. So my company is CFO Pro plus Analytics. It's cfoproanalytics.com. Regarding your question about what industries we're in, we are actually industry agnostic. In fact, if you go to my Substack blog, there's an article on there where I explain that mechanically, in terms of making money in business, there's really only 9 different business models. And every business, especially smaller businesses that have one product line, they fit into one of these 9 categories. So it's not hard to know all of them and to understand how they make money. What we do is we give a very personalized CFO service to the founders and family offices that goes beyond the 9 business models. So our job is to really come in and become their trusted strategic finance advisor in the business. And we work with mainly family and founder owned businesses from like 3 million of revenue all the way up to 100 million of revenue. And we build out their entire finance function, which we operate, and we do it on a permanent part-time basis. So they get a lot of value for the money that they spend because the members of our team are extremely experienced. And if you hire them on a full-time basis, they would cost you a lot more, but they don't need to work for you full-time to give you all the good value. So we come in and we're the permanent part-time finance function from CFO level down. And every client is different and they all need certain things in the capabilities. And we work very hard to make sure we understand those so that we're delivering them from the day that we walk in the door. And then and our fractional service, which is permanent part-time. It's a recurring service. We're part of your team. We charge you a fixed fee. You have predictable costs associated with it. And then the other service that we offer is kind of the opposite. It's interim. And on those assignments, we're in there for a shorter period of time. It could be 3 to 6 months. And it's like a full-time role. And it might be more than one person. And we're usually there to solve specific challenges that they have. A lot of the times it's related to selling the company. And we help them prepare for sale so that if you go back to the beginning of our or the earlier part of our conversation when I talked about when you go see the VC and you need to be professional, clear message, and have authority behind what you're saying. Well, when you're selling a $50 million business to a lower middle market private equity firm, it's the same story. The only difference is that it's not 15 slides with a lot of assumptions in it. This is 30 slides with facts in it. And those facts need to tell a clear story. And so we get hired to do that work too. And a lot of times when we go in to tell the clear story, there's a lot of messiness in the accounting and in the finance, and we need to fix all that before we can go to market so that we can answer the really hard questions that the buyers have.
Scaling up, right? I remember scaling up my business that I was thinking, well, this is what business that I have now is it's a lot of mess. And if I expand this, it's a big mess. So I have to cleaning before expansion. But I would like to see you in terms of the founders that they have this idea. They read an article and they say, "Wow, Steve Jobs become a multimillionaire. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, the Google guys," and they go there and start in the tech company, right, with the vision that they want to be them. Whereas in reality, we have discovered after interviewing so many entrepreneurs that there are people that they are very, very good at 0 to 1 million of product market fit. There are other people that they are good at 1 to 10 million, and other ones 10 to 100, so on. And you need to build different team of people as you grow. What is the reality behind that idea? That, oh, I'm a tech founder and I'm gonna end up owning and I'm gonna build a 1 billion pound company myself. Because what I think is in the process they might find out, because basically when you go from 0 to 1 is all a sales and marketing exercise. You need to go out there hustling to get your first client. But then when you have kind of product market fit, it's more about leadership, process, systems. And when you grow more, then you need to bring a specialized firm like yours that come and will hide up the mess. And founders, they don't know any better. So what is your view in do you think that that is an exception, those founders billionaires, or anybody can do it?
I mean, sure, anybody can do it. I think, you know, a very a very wise investor who was extremely successful. If he had to choose between an amazing management team and an okay management team, an amazing management team is slowly in an industry that's slowly developing, or an okay management team in an industry that is exploding, he would choose the one with the industry exploding, because market momentum can solve a lot of problems that an okay management team won't do everything perfectly, but if the wind is at their back, it covers a lot of the problems that they, or the challenges that they might be facing. Why do I say that? I say that because anyone can do it. A lot of it has to do with being smart and lucky at the same time, and picking the right market that you're going after. If you do that and you catch it at the right time, you're you're going to be successful. It's a matter of continuing to. So I think anybody can do it. I don't think that it means that there's going to be, 100 times more billionaires in the next 20 years. Maybe there will be, I don't know. But if there are, it's going to be dictated by the market appetite and the need in the market, and the purchasing of those products are going to be necessary, more so that it's going to be, exquisitely talented people who become ubiquitous. I don't think it's going to be that one. It's going to be great market opportunities and people of all kinds who take advantage of them.
But I'm saying that soon we're gonna see a unicorn with one person thanks to AI. What do you think about this? Is it soon?
I mean, anything is possible. I don't know anybody that's really successful trying to build a large business without more than one person in it. I think there's usually a lot to do.
Probably will be one person, a lot of advisors. Let's say.
Well, then it's not one person.
Exactly. So I don't see it happening, but there's a lot of problem this with the use of AI, and you can have the safe agents and so on. I don't think that AI is there yet to produce the result as we speak.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
Now, as companies with large revenue, oh yeah, this is possible because with the use of AI, you can optimize a lot.
Yeah, you can
There are some
definitely. Yeah. You can cut people that you need for sure. I mean, I don't have any great, but I did reference earlier the friend of mine who I had invested in previously. In a couple of days, he built a SaaS product using Cursor. So he hasn't made $1 billion on it yet. But if he and I
is
don't
doing
think
well.
I don't think he'd be able to scale it without more people.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So if someone is in love with this conversation, Salvatore, how people can find you, how this process work?
Yeah, just you could visit our website, cfoproanalytics.com. There's a way to contact us on the page. You could also take a free CFO assessment, a digital assessment online that will tell you where you stand and kind of what your weaknesses are from a CFO standpoint. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. You could always find me there. And yeah, you could if you're interested in thought leadership pieces. I'm on Substack. I post once or twice a month on different topics. The last topic I posted was on how core values were demonstrated by the CEO of OpenAI and Anthropic in the latest conversation that involved both of them, which was with the Department of Defense. There's some learnings to take away from that. So I write about stuff like that that's pertinent to business and innovation.
Thank you so much, Salvatore, for the podcast. I really appreciate it. And for all of you following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of Us to Go, how brave entrepreneurs like Salvatore bring the world to achieve the first million. For now,
Thank you.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.